So China has a chance to prove the critics wrong if it can beat Iceland. And there's been plenty of criticism of the men's national team. It's ranked 81st in the world, and I should point out that the women's team is at a lofty 13th by comparison. So with billions of dollars China's investing in club football both at home and abroad, why can't the men do better on the field? Let's get some more on this with Mike Fox, CGTN's sports scene anchor in Beijing. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, a very exciting match for China coming up for the inaugural China Cup. Help us understand who is involved and what's at stake.
Well, this China Cup kind of came out of nowhere, really. It's a chance for China to show that they're capable of hosting a tournament, no matter how small, really. They haven't hosted a football event since the 2004 Asia Cup. This match against Croatia is a third-place playoff. Not a lot is at stake, if I'm completely honest. It's a chance for the fans down in Guangxi to watch some football. They haven't got a team down there, so it's a chance for them to come out and see some games. But in terms of football on the global level, we're not seeing anything unprecedented. It's a chance for Marcello Lippi to try out some young players, with a lot of the CSL older players who feature in the national team training in pre-season, and that's about it, really. And the same with the other teams, Chile and Iceland and Croatia. They've used this as an opportunity to really breed some of their younger players and see what they can do.
Now, Mike, you mentioned China's national team coach, and he actually blamed the players' lack of conditioning for their defeat in the opening game of the China Cup. And that's an issue other observers of Chinese football have raised. But clearly, China has world-class athletes in other sports. So what's happening when it comes to football?
Well, first of all, I think it's almost been downplayed. They did play Iceland, and Iceland are, you know, they're a decent side. They got to the quarterfinals in the European Championships, and a few of those players that featured against China were part of that squad as well. So they were up against some decent players. I think they lack fitness when it comes to playing European sides, because frankly they can't keep up with the pace of the game. The pace in Europe is a lot quicker, and in China it's a lot slower. The standard isn't as good, to be honest, and that really helps with the fitness if the level of the game is a lot better. So they're probably lagging behind when it comes to action on the pitch. In terms of other sports, honestly, I'd be a very rich man if I knew the answer to that question. Why China can produce so well when it comes to sports in the Olympics, and yet maybe team sports, there's something missing. I don't know if there's a gap in the education system. Maybe when we think about diving and things like that, it's a repetitive motion. You can train someone to do a repetitive motion, but in football, what seems to be missing is that kind of footballing brain, that instinct. I play a lot against Chinese players at a very low level here in Beijing, and what I always say is they're all technically brilliant. You know, they can do step overs, all the tricks and things like that, but sometimes they fail to see a pass. They fail to really read the game, and that's maybe what the Europeans have. They don't, and at that level, that's what it's all about.
Now, Mike, let's also look at FIFA's decision to expand the number of teams that are going to participate in the World Cup in 2026. What do you think that does for China's chances?
Well, the expansion it's being approached by two ways, really. One in Europe and South America, they've viewed it very cynically and said it's FIFA having another chance to grab more money by having more countries involved in the World Cup. And then again in Asia and in the American regions, they're saying this, you know, we're fed up of it being the European and South American show. We want more chances, more places to come and play. China, if I'm completely honest, don't really have what it takes right now to make it to the World Cup. It doesn't matter if you expand it to 48, based on what we've been seeing recently in the China Cup. It's still a very long way off ambition. That being said, what they should be concentrating on is the fact that they could be very suitable hosts for one of the upcoming tournaments that has 48 teams. If we think about this event, it's going to have 48 hotels, 48 world-class training facilities. Not many countries have that kind of infrastructure, and China, you know, they've shown they're not afraid to spend money on increasing the growth of football in the country, and I don't think they would be afraid on spending money to host a World Cup.
And just quickly, Mike, as you mentioned some of China's role perhaps off the pitch, what about their role in other events like the African Cup of Nations? What do you think we could really see globally?
Well, I mean, for years now, China has been using what they call the stadium diplomacy, haven't they? Where they invest in other countries, building stadiums for them. In Gabon, where the African Cup of Nations is due to be held, which gets underway next week, they built 2 new stadia. We all know President Xi Jinping was also recently in talks with the Gabonese President Ali Bongo. They were talking about strengthening ties. So it's really, a lot of these African countries haven't got the resources or the facilities to build these world-class stadiums that they need, and China does. And if there's one thing we know that African people love, it's football, and China has certainly provided a platform for them to show it. And in Cameroon in 2019, they're the next host of the African Cup of Nations, and China has also provided stadiums for them as well.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much to Mike Fox, CGTN's sports scene anchor in Beijing.